Very sad day as we reflect on this life, but also a very well-lived life. But from your side, as we reflect, I mean, what comes to mind as we go back to those times, looking at Head and Tails and so many albums that he had?
I think one of the most important things about being an artist is catalog. And I think Pro has a very, very strong catalog, which means that his legacy will live on for a long, long time. He's an artist that managed to make people dance, was socially conscious, spoke about issues in the township, spoke about, things that affected people and was uplifting at the same time. I think it will be difficult to find an artist, a hip-hop artist with that kind of depth, versatility, you name it. And I think that's why a lot of people, even though he rapped predominantly in isiZulu, a lot of people related to him also because he was charming, his personality. If you'd have to meet him and be around him to understand that this is a man that didn't really consider himself a superstar, but one of the people, despite the extraordinary ability. He was like an ordinary guy with an extraordinary gift. This is what we as people who were in the game like him saw him as. We all looked up to him. It was just incredible how someone with so much talent could be so down to earth.
And also, I mean, such a very young person, 37 years, and his work ethic. And also, whenever you look at, the obituary, I mean, they're talking about his ability to use lyrics at a very tender age. The battles he had, rapping and... but also just pioneering this particular genre. How critical was that and the role that he played, especially because, I mean, the very reaction that you gave when he died, you said he was a poster child of South Africa's hip-hop.
I think before Pro, it was much more difficult to find hip-hop in the mainstream because it was something that was seen as a foreign concept, as an art form that's full of people who want to mimic the American lifestyle and American culture. And I think when he decided that he was going to rap in his own language and sort of bring the story closer to home, it was a breakthrough for all of us because I mean it's about making sure that the people relate. And I think radio started being a bit more open, much more open to hip hop when Pro broke through, because when his songs would actually, when you were at a party or at a club, his songs would be right in the middle of house or kwaito sets, which was unheard of because hip-hop wasn't really played as much in the mainstream and to main market. So he was very critical because he brought it closer to home, and I think a lot of us sort of owe him a huge debt to that.
And also, I mean, a lot of artists were talking about the recognition, during the course of the memorial service. They were saying perhaps they wish they could have done more to give him the respect that he deserved. So what can we do making sure that going forward with all these legendary artists that we have, the likes of you, while you're still alive, you're given that honor, that recognition that you deserve. So what can we do as a country to improve on that aspect?
I think it's very difficult. It's a difficult one to answer because, people always have something to say when a life is lost. People always talk about how they could have done this and they could have done that. But the reality is that we just never really know when our time will come. I think the best thing to do is just always honor the greats, honor people that have made an impact and make sure you never forget them. But the difficult thing is that music also keeps progressing. A Blaklez in 10 years' time won't be as recognized as new artists, which is just how the progression of life goes. So I think people shouldn't really be hard on themselves. Us who worked with him never really forgot him. I mean, we would perform songs that I'd perform the song that I did with him all the time, and I paid homage to him every time I performed it. But other than that, I think people need to stop being so hard on themselves and blaming themselves, because again, when it's time, it's time. We just need to make sure that we never forget the legacy that people have left behind and the great work that they've done in our industry and in the communities. I think that's the biggest thing we can do. It helps no one for us to say, well, we should have done this and should have done that. The reality is that we just never know when it's time.
But I also see that there will be a tribute concert, and I think that's a very kind gesture.
Yes, I think that's we need to see more of that often. It would be great for those things to happen while someone can still smell the roses. But this is a great thing. I pray that it'll be packed at Zone 6 on the 26th of this month, a tribute concert. I'm pretty sure it'll be packed because Soweto is his hood, as we say. We need to do more of those things for people while they're still here, I think, a tribute concert which was organized by people, his peers and his family and everyone else, which is a great way to send him off. And I just want to thank everyone in the hip hop fraternity for pulling together and doing that for him. I'm just honored to also be a part of it. I'm just a small drop in the ocean, and I appreciate that.